a couple seconds for everyone to get logged on. Feel free to turn your camera on or off, whatever you're most comfortable with. And I'll keep an eye. I know some people will trickle in later as you have busy days. All right, welcome to our Nido Marketing Town Hall. We host these every single Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern throughout the school year on Zoom. They're always free to join, and any Montessori school leader or administrator is always welcome to join in. These are very much collaborative, so feel free to utilize the chat to ask questions. You're also welcome to unmute yourself at any point, to share an idea, ask a question, and we'll do our best to answer them. And also, if you have an answer to a question, feel free to answer because these are very much, as I said, collaborative. So maybe your experience as an administrator might help somebody else on the call. Today, we're talking about internal marketing and cultivating a culture at your Montessori school. This is something that we usually would refer to as retention, but it goes a little bit deeper than that as we want families to really be living our mission at our school. This is how we can keep them on for longer, how we can build a stronger community, and how we can really get people to fall in love with Montessori and become lifelong advocates. Here's a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about. We'll do a brief introduction and we'll get to know one another on the call. It's a small group, which is always kind of nice because it means that we'll each get to ask questions and talk a little bit more. We'll discuss what internal marketing is and what it looks like specifically in the Montessori space. It's a very niche space, as we know, and we have our own unique challenges within the Montessori space when it comes to keeping people on for longer. We'll talk about laying the groundwork early on for internal marketing, what you can do at the early stages of a parent's journey. And we'll also talk about offering resources from the start. So parenting resources, retention resources, all of this is helpful. I'll be also showing a couple of sample documents that you are welcome to use. These calls are being recorded, so you can always reference the presentation back on our YouTube channel if you want to take notes or take away any of those resources that are shared. I'll talk a little bit about parent education events. I'm sure this is something we're all familiar with in the Montessori space. And we'll talk about additional parent education resources and other platforms where you can reach parents. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end as well. So first and foremost, let's get to know one another. I'd love to know what school you're joining us from and why you joined today's call. Is there a specific challenge you're facing when it comes to internal marketing? Feel free to use the chat or you can unmute yourself. I'd love to know if you're looking to expand parent education in your community, what are your terms and what are your goals in terms of educating families and building a stronger community and having people live your mission?
Hi, my name is Sherry Brennick. I'm with Aquinas and Old Town Montessori Schools in Alexandria, Virginia. And I wanted to join the call today. I feel like we do a lot of things that are really wonderful in this area, but I think Montessori is so counter to what happens in traditional education. We're in an area that has a county school system that's thought as being very good. So we're kind of constantly in competition with free education that people think is good. We obviously think Montessori is better. So I just wanted to hear what other people are doing so that if there are ways that we can supplement and strengthen the programs we already have, so that we can retain. And we're also in an area of the country, we have a lot of people moving in and out. About 25% of our families are military. So it's just a constant trying to get people with the Montessori program. And like you were saying, have them be with us for a long time, and then advocates when they leave is really powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Sherry. Hopefully this will be helpful. Here in the chat, Chelsea is joining us from South Coast Montessori, looking to continue growing our community and keeping families with us. Sarah joining us from Waterfront Montessori, New Jersey, looking to grow enrollment and learn about parent education opportunities. And Wally, hi Wally, from Crabapple Montessori School. I feel we could be doing a lot better in educating parents the value we bring to Montessori education and philosophy. Okay, so hopefully we have something to share, to learn from one another and from today's presentation. And as I mentioned, feel free to jump in at any point to ask a question, unmute yourself, whatever you're most comfortable with. First and foremost, what is internal marketing? And I'm a marketer. I know that's not necessarily something that Montessorians go crazy over. We're not marketing people. I'm also a Montessorian. I was a Montessori student myself, and I worked in the Montessori space as an assistant, and I love the philosophy. And something that we dealt with a lot at the school that I worked at was how can we retain families and get them to see the value in what we're doing? One thing is to get a family to enroll, and the other one is to keep them for longer, especially when we're competing with public schools, with free education. We really need to highlight the values. Really, internal marketing is in the Montessori space specifically is going to refer to the strategies and efforts employed to communicate and reinforce our school's values, our mission, and our unique educational approach within our internal community. This includes parents, teachers, staff, and students. Really, internal marketing means you're also retaining your staff. This is also a challenge that we face at the Montessori school I was in. It just happens that there is turnover, especially with assistants. Um, but really, a school that has great culture and has taken the time to do good internal marketing should have a strong community. The aim is really to foster a strong sense of belonging, engagement, and collaboration among all stakeholders. This is what we can offer that might not be available in the public school setting. So we really need to sell this part of ourselves. We have so much to offer that a parent maybe would not be able to gain in a public school setting. Something that Montessori schools do offer is parent education, parenting support. This is not something that a parent would necessarily receive in a public school setting. This is how we can kind of differentiate ourselves and build community. A huge thing is your mission and vision statement. This should be central to all of your school's marketing efforts. It should be on your school website, in your brochure, and it should really speak to the families that you're trying to capture in your school community. Um, it should convey information not only about the Montessori philosophy, which we know well and love, but what is unique about your school? What are the unique opportunities that your school creates? In the Montessori space, there could be several. There are schools that we work with that have beautiful gardens and nature. This is something that is unique to them. Perhaps you have a special program, a language program. So focus on the things that make you unique that a parent wouldn't be able to find elsewhere and build community around that aspect. So let's talk about a couple of things you can do specifically within the Montessori space to retain families and really just cultivate community. Number one is regular communication. And I know this is a thing that schools struggle with the most because we're great at communicating. It's more of getting parents to read the communications and respond to the communications. Regardless of whether parents are seeing everything, it's still important for us to provide a clear and consistent communication channels for parents. Teachers and staff to stay informed about everything that's going on at the school. Get creative with solutions as well. If you notice that people aren't responding to emails, aren't opening emails, aren't seeing that, see what other ways you can reach them, whether it's through social media, whether it's sending SMS. SMS has a 90% open rate, so it's a lot higher than email. I know we've had town halls in the past where people have shared really great strategies and solution for getting parents involved in community events. Something a school did was they noticed that a lot of parents, they would mark their calendars and have the best intention far out, and then the day of, they would forget about the event and not show up. This happens more than you think. What they did to solve that is every time there was a parenting event or an important school event, they would have all of the teachers and staff wear a brightly colored shirt that said, ask me about tonight's school event, so that parents at carpool would see this and be that final reminder that they need to come that night and clear their schedules if possible. And also making it accessible, like offering free childcare or maybe even offering pizza for the kids while the parents take the parenting course. So not only is it important to have that regular communication, but be creative in solutions on how you can get messages across. Parent education is another huge aspect of our internal marketing in the Montessori space. We don't have the same luxury as public school systems where parents just kind of know how it goes. Many already experience public school themselves. They know that that will give them a clear path to college. How can we explain that there is value with our approach, our philosophy? It's a scientifically proved and researched philosophy. And this is something that we need to teach over and over again, offering workshops, seminars, informational sessions, not only in the beginning of a parent's journey with us, but throughout their entire stay at our school and in our community. Um, it's important to help them understand whether you're doing things like silent journey, whether you're doing parent nights, whether you hire a consultant to come and teach at your school. These things are important to plan out throughout the year. Staff and training development is also huge. This is something that we do, especially if you're AMI or AMS, you have to offer some sort of training throughout someone's career at your school. So investing in ongoing professional development opportunities for teacher and staff will deepen their understanding of Montessori. Also, one of the things that we offer in Montessori that a parent might not find in a traditional setting is that a student will have the same teacher usually for a 3-year cycle. If we have a huge staff turnover and that changes, that can impact the value of that whole point of we're having a teacher here who is observing that entire 3-year development that's crucial, that whole cycle through. They're observing, they're taking detailed notes, and this is how the child is going to receive an individualized approach. So when we have a great staffing environment, we have development and career opportunities, people stay, and we can actually offer that to our parents. Something else is inclusive decision making. So involving stakeholders in decision making and processes related to curriculum develop, school policies, and community events, whether this is our teachers having autonomy in their classroom. This is usually going to help you with staff retention. And also have a PTA or a parent association where parents are helping with the planning process of parenting events, fundraisers. This kind of raises the stakes for them. They get more excited and passionate about getting other parents on board. They can do the social networking themselves. It helps you delegate as well. As a school leader, you have so much on your plate. You can't be planning every single event and making sure that parents are coming and showing up and planning every step of the communication. Create some type of parent board or parent organization that really oversees a lot of these events. They're also going to be able to offer you insights as to what parents are dealing with. Now we're dealing with millennial parents, maybe even some older Gen Z, if they're younger parents. And they're going to be able to tell you, how to reach these parents, how to make the events accessible, and they're going to be able to help you plan more highly attended events. So definitely use that to your advantage and offload the work from yourself. Also, when people are able to have those roles in your school, it gives them a sense of purpose within the community and they're likely to stay. And then those are going to be your advocates. They're the ones who are going to leave wonderful testimonials about your community. Celebrating achievements, recognizing and celebrating accomplishments and contributions that students, teachers, and staff members contribute to your school. This will help you cultivate a strong culture. Definitely highlight and share success stories. And of course, building community, organizing community building events and activities such as family picnics, cultural festivals, volunteer opportunities for students. Really, that will help, and for parents as well, to strengthen relationships and create a sense of belonging among all members of the school community. When people have invested time into your school, they feel that they're part of something bigger. These are the parents who are usually less likely to walk away because another school opportunity is free. They're the ones who said, I put so much, blood, sweat, and tears into the school. I see what it does for the students. I see what it does for the staff. It's a community. I don't want to leave. And I'd rather let my child complete the 3-year cycle, keep them there, maybe move them up to the next program because I see the value in it firsthand. I'm here volunteering and I see that it is beneficial. Any questions? Anything else to add when it comes to internal marketing within the Montessori space? We'll give some more examples of what you can do, practical examples.
Hey, this is Wally here.
Mhm.
I just wanted to add a couple of comments. We do have parent nights and all that where we educate parents on the principles of Montessori and the different practices and all that that go on in the classrooms. But what I believe is fundamentally missing in the marketing field is for us the ability to show data in terms of the success stories of people who have actually been to Montessori and how they have been successful in later life. And we can show examples, data, if there are studies like that, because that's what really sells the parents. I mean, they want to know, okay, if my child went, how would he do later on in life compared to being in, and that piece is missing. And first of all, I think when teachers talk about, nights, they're doing more about what Montessori curriculum is, right, and how it differentiates and all that. The vanilla benefits. But marketing has to be more from the business perspective, right? I'm going to pay $10,000 for my child, where I can go free in a good public school. So if I did that, what benefit would the child derive when he grows up later on in success? And if you can have some studies and examples that we can cite, that probably would be quite helpful. And that seems to be missing in most of our marketing efforts because teachers are not trained to really. There are marketeers. Many of the administration staff also is not very good in marketing because that's not where we came from in terms of our background.
No, and that's a valid concern. I'm thinking from the perspective of the parent. There's going to be kind of two groups. There's going to be the emotionally driven parents who are really going to want to see those success stories, want to feel a part of a community. And then there's going to be those data-driven parents who are like, well, I need to see the numbers. How well do the Montessori students perform in a public high school setting or in a college setting? And that requires a little bit more research. There are lots of articles out there that I recommend offering to parents, some from the New Yorker, Forbes. I believe we have a collection of them on Montessori Thrive under parenting resources. I'll see if I can send you some, Wally, after today's session, because sometimes these articles from kind of like a third party or like a big journalistic institution that can help sway those data-driven parents. I think also investing in building alumni communities for your school specifically is going to be helpful. I know this is harder for schools that are maybe only serving toddler and primary students, because how do you keep in touch with students who finish their journey with you at 6? The answer to that is you maybe start a parent group where parents can then share stories about how their children are integrating into other schools. You can check in with them for a testimonial, maybe 3 years down the line. Let them know, be like, hey, we like to see how children do and how their experiences in future schools. We want to hear your personal stories. Obviously, we know that our students do so well in public school settings. Usually they're advanced. But it's great to check in with those parents maybe 3 years in the future to see just how well that student was able to adjust, and you can include this in your marketing. But building those networks, building those communities online, I recommend using tools like Facebook groups. These are free tools that you can use. Also having email nurtures or keeping in contact with parents who have finished their journey with you and just say, let them know on the graduation day or let them know in advance, hey, we like to keep in touch with our families to see how they do down the line. Feel free to share, like send where your child is going to college, even if it's, it's going to be 11 years in the future, but we'd love to know when they get accepted to college and we can share that story. And that's what we did at our school. The school that I worked with was toddler and primary only. So we would keep in touch with parents. We would invite them for visits. So let's say if the child ever wanted to come back into the classroom for a visit, they could, and they would usually be really excited. Sometimes they'd be 8 years old. They've already finished the primary classroom, but they'd come and they'd do a little show and tell, and they would maybe spend an hour or two in the classroom, and they love to come back to Montessori after they've transitioned to a public school, and the parents see that the Montessori school was always special, and they can get those testimonials from them. So having those strategies in place for collecting testimonials, and yeah, for those data-driven parents, you're going to have to find some articles. You're going to show them the numbers. I mean, there are wildly successful people who were Montessori students. I mean, Jeff Bezos is one of them, but there's a whole list of people that have become change makers in our world who come from the Montessori space. So that's going to probably appeal more to the data-driven parents.
Camilla, have you had a town hall specifically on building community?
Yes, I can send you the link. There is one on our
Okay.
YouTube channel. I believe it's called Building Alumni Communities. And it's all about this, like how to keep in touch with parents and families to collect those stories. Obviously it's going to take years and years. It's something that involves a lot of planning, but the payoff is huge because when you can reassure parents through social proof, specifically about your school, that's going to give them the peace of mind to commit to your programs.
I was not talking about alumni community, but actually the current community, building that and keeping a thriving community at the school. I was wondering if there was any town hall that you had specifically for the current parents.
Yeah, I
You
can say,
have?
well, we have building alumni communities and we have just building community in general
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
all of those are on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about when parent education begins. And it really begins far before a family enrolls. If your goal is to have committed families that live your mission and see the value of Montessori, then the parent ed journey is going to start the very start of their journey. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of opportunities to offer this value from the start. So a couple of things you can do, a couple of reasons why you want to be able to communicate these messages early on is when you are stating this information on your website, in your early marketing materials, in any type of advertisement that you're running, it allows you to educate families on their school search journey. Because when they're comparing your school to different schools, they're looking at all the information that's available that's coming directly from those schools. So you want to make sure that you're informing parents and parents are having those aha moments specifically through your school. This creates thought leadership and trust. You can explain and break down what sets Montessori apart from other programs. Montessori is not just a solution to a childcare need. This is how we're going to reel in those mission appropriate families. Because oftentimes we do get those families who are looking for childcare, but they may not be the right fit for Montessori because maybe they're looking for more of a daycare setting. They're not going to stay in it for the long run, and they're not necessarily going to be the ones that live our mission. And you want to be sure to include learning opportunities on your website and social platforms. Good Montessori marketing means educating your prospective families. Let's dive a little bit deeper as to what strategies and examples you can offer. Your website content should be purposeful. I recommend you check out nidosite.com. This is our sample school website where we have, some content imagery layout that you can take some inspiration from. Your website offers a unique opportunity for parents to learn about Montessori directly from you. Again, if a parent is, sure on Montessori at this point in their school search journey and they're comparing between your Montessori and a different one in your area, it is so much more impressive for them to see your website that has a What is Montessori page where they're learning more about what Montessori is, blogs and articles that have that answer a bunch of their questions and misconceptions about Montessori, parenting resources, things like lead generators where they can give their contact information in exchange for a valuable resource, and testimonials and social proof. This is crucial. You want to offer a variety of supporting information, data, studies, success stories. And as Wally mentioned, there are some parents that are very data driven nowadays, and they just want to see what is the success rate of Montessori students. Make sure you offer a couple of resources on this on your website. Here's some example of our website content. Specifically in the primary program, we talk about why the kindergarten year is included. We make this very clear early on. This is something that is not traditional. So we need to make it clear directly on our website. And this is something that we also want to reiterate in the tour and in every step of the admissions process. We want parents that are committed. There was a town hall that we did, I want to say it was a year ago, more than a year ago now, with an admissions director named Lise Riget. I recommend you look it up on our Nido Marketing YouTube channel. She's amazing, and she's actually really selective with the parents that she admits to her school. And she talks very clearly about the 3-year cycle. She says, we don't accept parents who aren't willing to commit to the 3-year cycle. Obviously, she's at a point in the school's career where she can be a little bit more selective on families. You might not be there yet, but this strategy has worked for her. She said that the parents in her area, they love exclusivity. And when they hear, that there's a wait list and that the school is selective, it kind of makes them want to join all the more. So that's a strategy that has worked for her. It may not be the same in every community, but it's worked specifically for her community. The Montessori approach, this is on our What is Montessori? We like to talk about, what is our unique philosophy? What is our unique approach? And all of the content on our websites that we build out is simple. We don't like to over-explain. We don't want to use super advanced Montessori vocabulary that we're used to. We're used to every day because we're in the Montessori space. We're fully immersed. It's almost like we speak a different language. We have our own terminology that we understand, but it can come across as intimidating to parents who may not understand it. So we want to make sure we're using simple language and really making it approachable. So have that in mind when you're writing your content, and remember that you can always answer more during the tour. You want to talk about your school's mission. What sets your school specifically apart? This is crucial. Make sure you have a well-written mission statement and a little bit of information about your school's history, what sets you apart. This is an example of our lead generator. Montessori or conventional, what's best for your family? Read the white paper. This is a document that parents can download by just spelling out their first name, email. As soon as they click that orange, send me the white paper, they'll receive it automatically to their email, followed by an email nurture sequence that educates them about the benefits of Montessori. When you do this kind of parent education early on, it allows them to kind of shift their focus from cost to value, because those are the parents who are going to stay longer. We want them to think about our school within the framework of what is the true value. My child is getting community. They're going to get a sense of independence. When they are in that last year of their 3-year cycle, they're going to, everything's going to come together and they're going to be able to teach students other things. All of this you want to lay the groundwork for early on. So this is why we include some of this information on our websites. This is an example of our blog. We write blogs that answer frequently asked questions. Schools that are always saying, oh, what kind of blogs do I write? What kind of blogs are beneficial to have on my website? Think of all the questions that parents have asked you on a tour, make a list of them and write a blog for each one. The things that we've included here are the benefits of multi-age grouping. This is usually a big concern that parents have. The planes of development. What do we need? What do we mean by this? What's the role of the Montessori teacher? Because a lot of people think it's the student can do whatever they want and the teacher just kind of watches. No, these teachers are highly trained. They're trained to observe, to approach students with appropriate materials and work that they're ready for. So we explain this in our blog. And of course, testimonials and social proof is crucial to have. If you don't have testimonials on your website, you're missing out, because parents need that validation when it comes to non-traditional schooling. They want to see how other parents found success in your program. I also think that last year, Google reviews no longer allows new reviews for schools or educational institutions because there were a lot of issues. It got really political. So I think Google kind of does not allow it for schools anymore. This gives us control as to what success stories we get to share. It means that one bad Google review of a parent who had a bad experience isn't going to put a dark cloud over your school. So let's look at it as a positive thing. We can select families that are truly thriving and living our mission, and we can share those stories on our website. See a question, Rachel. I hadn't heard that about Google reviews. Good to know. Yes. If you put your business as a school or education, people should not be able to leave Google reviews. And I know this is a relief to a lot of schools because every now and then you get a parent who just, it wasn't the right fit and they might go off on a tangent on Google reviews and tarnish your school's reputation when really it's not a reflection of what you actually do. So this is we're looking at it as a benefit. Another thing that you really should do is market your programs as 3-year programs. I think something that is crucial to the way that the Montessori classroom works, especially the primary classroom, which is usually the majority of Montessori schools will have a primary classroom, is having kindergartners. When you don't have those kindergartners, it unbalances the classroom. The whole point of it is to have the 6-year-olds in the same space as the 3-year-olds. That's what kind of makes the whole program come together. So discuss clearly the importance of the completion of your program from very early on, from your website and your marketing materials, on your tour. Talk about it and make it very clear. We really think that we want to be selective with the families that we pick, and we want families to complete the 3-year program. Offer parent commitment forms, and I'll offer an example of it, I think on the next slide. For families to sign and agree to the full 3-year cycle. This is something that we then implemented in our school, and it worked really well. Obviously, we cannot have 100% retention rate for the kindergarten year. I'm sure there's a school out there who's accomplished that, but it's rare. It's hard, but it can definitely help increase that number. Prioritize spots for families that are willing to sign commitment forms and agree to completing the full cycle. Especially if you have a wait list, you can say, well, a way to kind of push yourself up on the wait list is to sign a 3-year commitment form, because we're dedicated to signing families who are going to complete our program. Discuss the importance of the full 3 years on your website, in the program information and in the school tour. You really want to talk about how that kindergarten year, everything comes together, and it's really kind of the aha moment for the student. And when they leave that kindergarten program and go into first grade in a public school, or if they choose to stay in an elementary Montessori setting, they're going to be more successful than other students. And I've seen this myself time and time again with our students when I worked at a Montessori. Here's a sample of our parent commitment form or letter of intent. This is one of them. This is more about, having families that are involved. Feel free to take a screenshot, or also this will be posted on YouTube, so you can always reference it later on. But something we did here is we're making a non-refundable reservation fee of $500 in recognition of our commitment to having our child attend our school through the 3rd year in the primary classroom. In return, we'll receive a 700 credit toward the kindergarten year. So we're basically giving them $200 towards the kindergarten year should they stay. And if they don't stay, they're going to lose that $500. This is something we implemented at my school, and it worked really well. And it just highlights the importance of it's a 3-year program. This kindergarten year is crucial. Any questions on that? Does anyone use something like that in their community? Something else is offering parent education on social media. Utilize your social media platforms to cultivate community. Social media is free. We've talked about Instagram many a times because this is the new platform that we need to be on. It used to be Facebook a couple years ago, and now it's Instagram. That could change in the future because these trends are always changing. I recommend finding someone in your staff, delegating social media work, and really focusing on it, because it's a great platform to utilize. I worked at Northwood, and now I believe a parent is in charge of the social media, and it's been great to have them post. It's a contribution. They're a volunteer of the school. They're a community member who's putting a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears into the school, and they're living the mission. You can also look at your young people. Usually our assistants, our younger teachers are great at this, capturing those Montessori moments. Create posts about Montessori parenting, post your success stories, share great testimonials, educate families about what goes on in the classroom. Really, parents want to see the day-to-day life in your school. What we have on our website is usually very curated. We're very selective with the pictures that we post. We want to put the best of the best on our website. Our Instagram is a raw look of our day-to-day. This is what parents want to see. Think about it as a parent is going to look at your website first, most likely, and then they might be curious about seeing more imagery of your school and day-to-day life, and they're going to go on your Instagram to see that. So capture those beautiful learning moments, events, community. All of that is important to share. Allow families to explore and see what Montessori is really about, and share educational videos and graphics. There are plenty of free tools out there for schools. Canva is free for schools. It's very easy to use. You don't need to be a trained graphic designer. There's lots of templates out there. They even have a good selection of Montessori stock imagery if you're a school that's just starting out and doesn't have photography. So it's a great free resource. Another way to meet parents where they are is email nurtures. I think we're not pushy people in Montessori, we're not marketers, and we often get a little bit nervous about inundating parents' email inboxes. I can guarantee you you're not. I myself get hundreds of emails a month from clothing brands, the grocery stores I shop from. It's standard. If I didn't want to hear from them, it's very easy to unsubscribe. Parents know this nowadays. So you're really not annoying them as much as you think. And you never know when they could be receiving an email at the opportune time. Maybe even a parent has chosen a different school. They have a bad experience. They receive an email from you after touring and deciding to go elsewhere, and they want to revisit you. This has happened before. I see here a message. We used a letter of intent a long time ago, but did away with it because it felt as though it really didn't have any weight. It didn't hold up to when it came time for families to actually stay. For a deposit, these families pay $500 every year towards the 6-year-old elementary cycle rather than just a primary. Okay. And again, some of these strategies, it's great to try it out and see if it works for your community, if it has weight over time, if it's actually helping your retention numbers. If not, then maybe your approach can change to more education opportunities for parents, more workshops, more resources. It's all about what works well in our communities because everything's going to have a different reception depending on where you are and how your community is. Absolutely. All right, so email nurtures are a great way to educate families. They can be great for admissions and retention. And works across programs, whether it's elementary, primary, or adolescent. It's personal and provides content that helps parents make informed decisions. If you're looking for templates for email nurtures, we have many on Montessori Thrive. So I recommend taking a look at that as well. Here's a sample email. This is email 1, I think, of an 8-part email nurture for retention. The full email nurture is available on Montessori Thrive for download. This is a retention email nurture for those parents who are getting ready for that kindergarten year, where we are giving them just reminders about the importance of the kindergarten year, what they're going to be getting. In another email in this sequence, we're talking about what they're going to be missing out on. We also talk about the transition from kindergarten to first grade in the public school setting or in a Montessori elementary program. So this is a way that you can market your programs for free internally. You never know when it reaches the parents. I'm telling you, sometimes they open it. You can even send these through SMS, but they are successful. Even if you get 1 or 2 more than you would have without the email nurture, that's maybe, $10,000 of tuition for that last year or more. So it's worthwhile because it doesn't cost you to market internally to your email list and your contact list. Need educational resources. We have a variety when it comes to internal marketing. I recommend taking a look at our Montessori Answered one-pagers on Montessori Thrive. These are all of the frequently asked questions about Montessori, and we basically just answer them in one page in a very approachable way. These also make great blogs. I know some of our Montessori Thrive members have actually used it as blog content. Feel free to do that. We have white papers, lead generators. We have a list of 100 Montessori blog ideas. So check those out in our collection. Any questions so far? How is your marketing approach educating families on the unique benefits of Montessori education? If you want to discuss, we'll take a brief moment here. If not, we can continue. All right, I'll keep an eye on the chat in case anything comes through. Parent education events, bringing the community together. This is really the in-person work that is probably going to really set the school apart because it's not as much offered in public school settings. Parent ed events are really going to help you build a stronger community. I think people are craving community after COVID. It takes a village to raise a child, and your school can serve as that village and really offer so many resources to families. And that's going to make people a little bit more hesitant to step away. In a public school setting, I don't believe parents receive a lot of that support. I see here in the chat, Rachel put, I put together, with the help from AMS, a Montessori versus traditional page for all tours. Parents who end up enrolling have told me this was the best information for them to truly understand Montessori. Yep, it always helps to do kind of a side-by-side comparison, because when parents can see what they're going to be missing out on, that's what's going to speak to them. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily always about cost, it's about value. Parents want the best for their kids. It's in our nature to desire that for our children. So we can do this. And that's why we offer the Montessori versus conventional lead generator. So it's great to build out a page. This is going to help parents make more informed decisions. And they're learning that information from you as well. So you're a thought leader. It's great that AMS offers that too. I know AMS has a lot of good resources. So a couple of things for parent ed events. Plan events throughout the year to educate families. Usually try to do something in both semesters, because sometimes we get new families during that second semester of the year. Think about what will allow them to see the benefits of Montessori firsthand. So yes, teach a little bit about what goes on in the classroom, but teach them some practical parenting strategies so they themselves can use them in their homes and see, wow, this is hugely beneficial. A great example of this would be positive discipline. If you offer a positive discipline course, this is usually what leaves parents with so many practical tips that they can use in their home, and they really see a transformation. And they're going to be like, wow, I used that language, I used the mistaken goals chart, I used the resources shared in this workshop, and it works. And to know that that's how my child is being communicated with in the classroom gives me a sense of peace. That's not something that they would necessarily receive in a public school setting. Come up with ways to make these events accessible as well. We've talked about this at several town halls, because this is always an issue as people don't show up. Try to find some solutions, because parents are busy. Oftentimes we have 2 working parents nowadays. So offering childcare on campus for in-person events, offering online or Zoom options, after working hours as well. All of this can help you host more highly attended events. Another thing you want to strategize with is having a great tour. This is an opportunity to educate families and sell your school and really manage people's expectations. You can help them understand what they're observing in the classroom. Something that we've started offering at tours is kind of an observation guide. It was almost like a checklist of what parents are looking out for when they step into a Montessori classroom. We kind of explain, why do we have cleaning supplies, brooms, and things like that. Well, we talk about practical life. So that way we can tick everything off the list when we do our tours, and parents can know what to look out for in the classroom. Provide resources on the success of Montessori. This is back to the point of what Wally was saying, is that people want to see those success stories. So have some articles ready. There are plenty out there. Have some success stories from your own school ready, so the parents that ask those data-driven questions, what is my kid going to be like after Montessori if they go to, public elementary? You could kind of ease their nerves on that. Set expectations early on. Montessori is a partnership and not just a place to drop off your child. If you're looking for a daycare, this is not it. This is a school, and this is what's different about a school versus daycare. Introduce the Montessori philosophy and answer questions, of course, and talk about how Montessori is a way of life, and your school will provide resources so that children and parents can thrive. This is important as well. What do you offer parents? Because that's what other schools are probably lacking, that we do a little bit better in, because we have to make all these parent education efforts. When it comes to your open house, I would like to host another town hall specifically on open houses, because I think open houses are always changing. We're always adapting to a new generation of parents with new expectations and perspectives. But your open house is a great opportunity for learning and sharing resources. Provide value by offering introductions to Montessori and your own school community. Show how Montessori has worked with others. A great thing you can do is have ambassadors, so have parents who have already completed their journey with you come to open houses and just talk to other parents about it. Another thing that a school did was they had a list of parents who were okay with being called by new Montessori parents to answer questions. This is a super accessible way to have parent ambassadors and share success stories. Rachel puts, would love an open house tips town hall. We'll definitely host another in the future. We have a couple in our collection on YouTube that we've talked in the past. But like I said, it's something I love to revisit because it's always good to have fresh ideas and how we can improve. And parents, they always have different expectations. Here's a question. How many open houses is typical in a given year? Do other schools have their guides attend open houses? Great questions. Feel free to answer that in the chat, other attendees. At our school, we had 2 a year, which is not a lot. I think it was 1 per semester. And the guides did attend. The guides did attend the open houses. Yes. But I'm not sure about other schools. I think we also hosted them on weekends. They were more highly attended on a weekend. Rachel says we host 3 a year, 1 each season except summer, and all salaried employees, teachers are expected to attend, and they are on Saturdays. Yep. But definitely consider, it's great to have your staff there and trained guides. They're great at answering questions, but having other parents there who've been at your school community for a while or have completed or have a child that has even moved on. Usually having a board helps us because in our board, we had a parent representative always, and those are the parents we kept in touch with and the ones who were willing to usually come to our open houses and be the ambassador. Kai says, we're trying to limit the amount of Saturdays guides need to commit to, but I agree they should be there. Yeah, and I understand you don't want to burn them out either. Maybe it's better to have 2 or 3, just a limited number of open houses, and maybe make it the morning of. And of course, we would compensate them for their time there, but we also want to be mindful of of them having a break. Another thing that you want to convey on your open houses is what support can a parent expect once they join their community. Talk about your parenting courses, what you offer. Hand out resources that will help families understand the benefits of Montessori education. This is where it's great to have like one-pagers, articles printed out, or maybe you give a presentation at your open house. There are many ways to approach it and offer all sorts of resources. Parenting courses. This is another thing you want to plan. At our school, we would have them in October, I believe, and we would meet once a week. So we had 4 a year. And we would talk about Montessori philosophy and Montessori parenting, how people could implement Montessori into their parenting. But every school has their unique way of setting up parent workshops and courses. Parenting night should focus on what Montessori is, as well as how Montessori can be brought into the home. I think this is what a lot of schools do the silent journey, which is great. It's great for parents to walk through and see what's going on in the classroom, what the materials do, what the children are learning. This definitely sells them on Montessori and lets them see the value, but also how can they implement it in their home correctly and not just build a Montessori environment in their home, because we know that's not what we mean. How can they, communicate with their child? How can they support independence? Things like this is what's going to help them see firsthand the changes. Always provide parents with resources that they can use. One that we would always offer was the mistaken goals chart. If you Google that, it's free to download. It's positive discipline. Things like this can help parents. How to plan a family meeting, things like this that they can apply themselves at home. Answer any questions, provide applicable practices, and make these events as accessible as possible. Come up with fun and unique ways to get families involved, and know that still there's going to be families that don't show up. We have to accept this fact. In an ideal world, we would love every family to show up. Usually the families that show up are the ones that need it the least, but they're the ones that are living your mission, and those are going to be great success stories in the future. And Those are going to be the people who are going to be your ambassadors. You're going to get your testimonials. You can build your community around. So don't be disappointed that not everybody shows up. You can still utilize that to your advantage with the people who do come. Some parenting course examples that you can offer that really offer value is explaining the plans of development, sensitive periods. This allows parents to have a deeper understanding of their child's needs and how Montessori provides what children need. Because in a daycare setting, everyone does the same thing all the time and it's very adult-led. Here we are meeting the child where they are and we're meeting their developmental needs. So explaining that really allows parents to see the value. Positive discipline, this is something that parents are hearing a lot of. Some are hearing misconceptions about it, the gentle parenting misconceptions of letting your child behave however they want. That's not what we mean. Having a course on this is great. Tantrums. This was every time we host a tantrums course because we at Montessori Thrive do virtual online courses for Montessori Thrive member schools. Tantrums is almost always the most highly attended one because it's the thing that parents want the most support to overcome. It also helps when they feel validated that they're not the only parent who's experienced a crazy tantrum at a grocery store and they can talk about it and laugh about it and they can get some practical strategies together. The Prepared Adult is another great course that you can offer. Walks parents through how they can prepare themselves for every chapter, how they can be ready with the right games and toys and things for their child, how they can understand, what chapter, each sensitive period and how they can prepare themselves for that. And Montessori Home Environment shows families how they can create an environment for development at home. Of course, this does not mean creating a mini Montessori classroom in your school. It means, having a getting ready area, making sure that they can pick out their own clothing, things like this, and we can walk them step by step. A lot of these courses we have on Montessori Thrive, we have samples of them from our past Montessori Thrive parenting series, and we have a couple of slide decks that you can download and edit. But really, once you build the course once, you don't really have to do it again. You might have to change a slide or two here or there, but once you build something out that works, you can just use it time and time again every year. What other courses do you provide at your school? Comment in the chat or unmute yourself and share. I'd love to know what other courses are beneficial that have been highly attended at your school. It's always great to offer a variety. Again, as I mentioned, if you need parenting courses, we have a bunch in our Montessori Thrive collection. Here's a snapshot of our Montessori 101 workshop, which is basically just a summary of the philosophy and what parents would really need to know about it. This is a great one to show at an open house, for instance. Parent socials is another thing. I think after COVID, people felt really isolated. We were locked away for 2 years. And sometimes it's nice to have get-togethers that aren't about parent education, that aren't about the school, but it's just about parents getting to know one another, building relationships so that they feel comfortable coming to future school events. A couple of things that are fun to have are maybe book clubs. You can have a parenting book club with fun meetings where parents can discuss various parenting books that you recommend. There are loads of great Montessori books out there that are approachable. Simone Davies is a great author. She has like the Montessori toddler books. They're very approachable for people who don't understand yet the Montessori vocabulary. Things like coffee meets. Sometimes it's nice to just offer free coffee, maybe once a month at carpool in a little corner where parents can mingle and catch up with their day to day. Potlucks, host a potluck so families can get to know one another. Maybe you can do this at the beginning of the year or at the end. Fairs and festivals, it's great to have this as well. If your school has any fairs or festivals throughout the year, parents can get involved and they can connect. They can have those memories with their children and get to know one another. As I mentioned earlier, delegate. You can set up a parent committee to help you plan all of this stuff. They're also going to help you give ideas on what parents would want to come to. Again, utilize your parents as a tool because they can really give you a lot of healthy insights. You can also always conduct a survey to see what kind of events parents are interested in showing up in, and that way you don't plan something that then nobody shows up to, because you know that there was some interest when you ran the polls. What other social events do you host in your community? I'd love to know. Feel free to share in the chat. Usually we get great ideas at these town halls. The coffee meets was an idea. The carpool coffee meets was one of our members' ideas that they did at their school that they said it was hugely successful. Moving up nights. This is great for parents that are getting ready for that third year. Host events that are 100% dedicated to retention. This can be for families moving into that third year, or for families moving up to a new program. So maybe they're transitioning from the primary to the lower elementary. Invite students or parent ambassadors on these nights. Absolutely. They can be great at answering questions. Anytime you go to a college, who's giving the tour? A student. These are the people who are going to sell parents on the next step of the program or that final year, because they're the people who have completed it or are living the mission. Provide families with a packet of information about what they can expect from the next chapter. Ease their concerns about transitioning from, a new program or completing the kindergarten year. How would that first grade year look in the future if they choose to leave the school? And what would happen if parents choose to leave the community? You can also talk about, we'll be here to help you if you choose to transition out of our school. We'll warn you that usually children are not as challenged in other schools because the work that they do here is, we allow them to go at their own pace in a elementary school, in a public school setting. They're most likely going to be given all the same work. So you can talk about that a little bit as well. And you can offer free childcare on these nights as well. So people show up. What we did at our school is we would open up the home environment room to classroom to students and have serve a pizza dinner. So parents wouldn't have to worry about food that night. It definitely helped attendance for these events. Here's a sample event calendar from Hollis Montessori School. These are a great example of how you can plan out your events for the year. It's kind of beneficial to have all of this ready for parents at the beginning of the year and to have it on your school website so parents can plan it way in advance, mark their calendars. But this is usually the best way to do it is just to plan everything at the beginning of the year, have the dates concrete, and then parents can mark their calendars. This is an example of one of the presentations that we have in our Montessori Thrive collection that's specifically focused on retention. You can have this on a moving up night. It's our Why Montessori Kindergarten, a short overview of the kindergarten experience. Here's our Montessori environment versus traditional classroom comparison chart. And the whole presentation kind of can help parents understand the value of why stay in that third year. You can invite them to a moving up night, offer them free childcare and pizza for their kid while they come in and learn and get their questions answered and any concerns eased during this moving up night. Here's a couple more slides from that, so you can feel free to take any notes. Again, we have the full presentation on Montessori Thrive, so if you want to download it and make edits, you're welcome to do that. Are there any events or courses that have been beneficial to your school community, specifically when it comes to retention? Anything else? A couple of additional resources that you can offer parents. A book list. Include this on your website and to families during tours and open houses and events. You can just give them a reading list if they're really curious to learn more about Montessori. Offering parenting videos, you can include this directly on your website. They don't even have to be your own. You don't have to record and produce videos. You can just find some online that you find really beneficial, and you can link them on your website or in blogs so the parents can watch them. Recommending podcasts as well. Simone Davies, as I mentioned, she's a Montessorian. She has some great podcasts, but there are many beneficial podcasts. This is great for parents on the go. They can listen in their car while they're doing the groceries. Blogs, articles, newsletters, your social media, and your parent handbook can also serve as a great resource. Here in the chat, Rachel puts, we host a K101 event teaching kindergarten parents what their 5-year-olds are truly capable of and helping them with independence. It's always a hit for family and even new parents before they start. It's great to have those new parents there for the moving up nights as well, because then they can come in, even if they have a 3-year-old, they can say, wow, I'm so impressed with what's to come in the future of this program. I know I'm going to commit to the 3 years. That's a great point. Kelly puts, I hold a current parent Q&A for prospective parents that are in the application process. We usually have a set of questions ahead of time. This is great. All great ideas. Of course, you always want to look for ways to improve. Ask parents to fill out surveys. You can do a Google survey, a Survey Monkey. These are free to conduct. It's the best way to see if they feel supported in their Montessori journey. Have an exit survey as well for families who are leaving before the completion of the 3-year cycle and see why they're choosing to leave. Even if it's just to go to the free public school, it's good to get some feedback about their experience with the school because, that might be the only reason, but it might not be the only reason. So it gives you some insights. It can also show you what areas you need to focus on and improve, what's working, what could be changed. So it's always good to do a good survey. We asked around in our community. We have a forum on Thrive, and here are some comments we got about strategies when it comes to building community. One administrator put, we use Bloom's, a cloud-based platform that has an app. Teachers, admins, PTO, leadership, team, coaches, troop leaders, etc., all have access to send updates and messages to members of their corresponding groups. Additionally, school-wide communication is posted there. Families have access to message each other and their teachers. We also post photos in individual classrooms, groups, and also school-wide. We publish a weekly newsletter using this platform with the calendar, updates, and link to our weekly blog. We also print posters for events and send home flyers when needed. So I hadn't heard of this before this community member shared it, but Bloom's, I think that's a great way to build community. It's also more private because some parents feel strongly about not having their kids publicly on social media. So maybe this can be just specifically for members of your community. People sometimes feel a little bit more comfortable interacting and engaging. So that was a fun recommendation. They also said, we try and cultivate community by hosting monthly coffee and conversation, several community events throughout the year, and ask our room parents to plan a monthly classroom meetups, park playdates after schools, coffee after drop-off, both for kids and adults. We hold parent education classes on the importance of kindergarten year, as well as transitions between levels and more. Students bridging to the next level are invited for a visit that level in the fall before enrollment opens, and then again in the spring. There are student showcase nights that the whole community are invited to, such as science fairs, poetry readings, and Night at the Museum presentations. Middle school students give enrollment tours once a month to showcase the breadth of ages we serve. Admissions gives other tours. Upper level students volunteer in lower level classrooms to listen to readers and visit with students. This promotes the visibility of older students and offers an expectations for the little ones that one day I'll get to volunteer too. And this is really what parents want to see. This is what I mean about the importance of having parent and student ambassadors help you with the recruiting of new families. Because when they see the older students, they're usually impressed. And then all of those concerns about, oh, how is my child going to perform in college, or how are they going to do in a public school? When they see the older children, those worries, they kind of tend to go away a little bit, and they see, wow, this 6-year-old, I don't see this from a daycare. I don't see this from public kindergarten. This is a confident 6-year-old. This is a confident 12-year-old. So these are the things that really can help you with community and retention. Again, as I mentioned, resources for school leaders. We have all of the resources available on Montessori Thrive, so feel free to check them out. And also check out our YouTube channel because we have loads of these town hall recordings where we share all sorts of resources, strategies, ideas. So definitely take a look. We have hundreds of videos now on our YouTube channel. All right, I'll stop sharing and see if anyone has any more questions. I know we're a couple minutes over, but there was a lot of information and a lot of great ideas shared as well. So thank you for those of you who shared. Any questions? All right, we have a couple of good town halls. We're wrapping up. This is our last month of town halls before we go off for the summer. So we have a couple of topics to wrap up the year. Next week, we're going to be talking specifically about creating content for Instagram for Montessori schools what kind of content is appropriate for Instagram, all of the Instagram features. We've talked about this before, but we're always revisiting it because it's a great way to market your school for free. We'll be giving some examples of content, where you can source free imagery, what kind of tools are available for you to use for free as a school. Yeah, and if you ever want to see a future town hall topic, feel free to reach out to me. I do plan these around what you all want. So I will put my email here in the chat. So feel free to reach out to me with any town hall requests. I know we'll have one on open houses in the future. All right, everyone, take care. Thank you so much for joining and sharing your ideas and experiences. Be back next week with another town hall. Have a great Thursday.